So what we're going to do today, try to get some kind of assemblage of what is up there. And so I've got documents here, I'm going to show them, which are going to substantiate our claim that the world's wealthiest ancient gold mine is at Hoyt Peak. So the first thing we're going to start with, there's a waybill, and here's a Spanish English translation of it. And it spells out by a Spanish mining captain when he was run out of Hoyt Peak by hostiles, and he left in May. They had to stay over the winter. He left, we think, in May when the snow had gone enough to work and get out, and they got into Mexico City at sometime in November and posted a waybill. And I'm going to read the waybill, try to kind of narrate it also. That's what this seminar is about, is to establish, number one, that we have a real live treasure up there that is not just gold, but archaeologically very important. And so here is the Spanish captain. His name was Jose Joaquin Garcia, and I quoted part of him in my website, josephinegoldmine.com. And so it says, waybill, year 1722-1814. Now that means they mined it for 90 years. If a mine can be mined for 90 years, it must have a lot of gold in it, hadn't it? The archives say that they had up to 500 people up there at the same time doing it.
Wow.
So if you can mine an area for almost 100 years with 500 people, and the last time you had, the time you last left, you left $1 billion worth of gold, which must have been that year's yield, and you have a waybill saying, this is how to get back. This is the description of how to find this place and continue that activity when it hasn't got a hostile environment. Okay, so that's the first sentence. This waybill pertains to the mine of the, and he's got Utes, it's not Utes. This is a rendition that supposedly Gail Rhodes did. And then there's a Professor Rich that did it also. But it's not Utes, it's Utah. And that was a high mountain Shoshone tribe that actually lived up there. And so people will read that and say, oh, it was the Utes. The Utes won't even get near this place because they were the slavers, really. They were the ones that went down to Salt Lake Valley and kidnapped Paiutes and brought them up there and sold to the Spaniards for $150 a head in our money, you know.
I'll say.
Which is that's just one good night at Lakai. Okay. So they weren't worth too much, obviously, okay? So, and there's a curse supposedly on the place because of that. They're afraid of the place. They won't get anywhere within miles of that place. So they didn't mine it. And so that's the first mistake, as I see it. And if we put this on a YouTube, which we're going to do, and we've got people that are much more learned about this than I am, and they can correct me, I'd appreciate it. But that's my opinion about it. Okay? Okay. Called later the Josephine de Martinique for the Empress. Now, Josephine was Napoleon's empress. He married her because she was in the elite French hierarchy people that was the king and everyone else. So she actually helped him. She was his secret weapon. She was the one that changed him from the general to the emperor by way of the way she connected with all of the powers to be in France at that time that were running the government. So she was important. And so he captured, or he conquered Spain at this time, And so when he conquered Spain, Spain's empress was Josephine. And so that's why they called all of their mines, they called their mines over by the name of their, whoever was the queen. It was just their tradition. So there's more than one Josephine. And there's people that say, okay, no, that's not the Josephine, this is the Josephine. I know it isn't because that's what it was called by the people. Well, yeah, of course it was. We're not saying it wasn't. We're saying that the one that was the wealthiest is up there by way of deducting what we read from this document, okay? Because it seems to have given us a lot more information about the one that was the legendary one that had immense wealth, which is a legend and part history and part lore. Okay? So, this mine can be found west 12 leagues of the river Timpanogos headlands and 2 leagues from the mouth of the river Santa Ana to the southeast. Now, today, the Santa Ana is the Weber, and the Timpanogos is the Provo River. And they're exactly spaced apart, and if you measure the distances, they will come to a point, and the Santa Ana will come out to a point where they do a 45-degree angle, and it goes right into Marion and Hoyt Canyon. Okay, so we know, and it says southeast, to travel 1 league to the south through native land of valley grass. They had a huge Native American community there in the Camas Valley, and so that's why they called it that, because there were a lot of Native Americans living there. So that's another clue. Okay. To a canyon which enters the valley from the east. So of course it's going up to Hoyt Peak. It's going east, you enter the valley. So we're still right on the money as far as this goes, and what we know is up there. And it says, follow the canyon east to a peak and bare growth, and from the peak measure 1,600 varas to the northeast. Now, this is where the people that are local and the people that know this is available, including some people that actually own the claim up there, they always tried to find it based on that last statement. So, 1,600 vara is a stick that's 32.4 inches long. Depends on who the king is, because it's from here to there. So if he was a short king, it was shorter. If it was a taller king, it was longer. And so if we measure that, and you take this, and they take the stick when they would measure, and they just put one end over the other so they could cover all the contours and everything, and they go wherever they could go. Okay, so this particular document, the one that was here, in that paragraph, in that sentence, it's right here, A.L. Norestra. Okay, down here it says to the northeast. And so everybody made the mistake that it had to be exactly northeast from the peak. And so the peak, here's where you start the measurement. This is the cross on the rock on the top of Hoyt Peak. See it? We found it. And so, as you see, it's got a long thing there. This is long, this is long, and that's the short one right there. It's the short part of the cross that points to where the mine is. And here is where you start putting your vara stick. Okay? And so they put that one over the other all the way down and where the mine. So it has to be where the end of that 1,600 varas is. Now, if it was 1,600 yards, it'd be, I think it's 4,800 feet. But if it's a var, it's 4,500 feet. But the mine, the place where the mine is, you can go to Google Earth Pro, and you can put a point here, you can put a point there, and it'll tell you exactly how far it is between those 2 points. It's only 3,900 feet, but that's a straight line. And it goes down into a cliff face where actually Maxwell Lake is. So we know they didn't do that, but it says measure. So they've got to measure it along a trail that would make it possible for them to get there. And so here's what we have. We've got Point Peak. We've got 1,600 bars, however, which is 3,500 feet, but it's only 39 to where the mine is, right there. And it's not exactly northeast, because the AL, if you go to the dictionary, the Spanish dictionary, or you go online and you put that in, it's a small AL, and then he forgot to put a D at the end of it, and there's no such thing as what is in here. So it's got to be, it says, it's got to be on the northeast side of Horton Peak, which could mean, and there's 3 different ways that northeast is in its definition. One is northeast, which would be exactly compass. The other 2, there's a space, it says northeast, and the other one's a hyphen, which means that it could be anywhere from 1 degree to 44 degrees, because of the fact that that word would be interpreted the way it is. It has to be that way. He didn't say it was exactly northeast. It was copied down wrong by the people that translated it. And then he forgot to put DE on the end of it. But if you go to Google and you say, and you type in that name, it'll tell you there's 3 different ways to interpret that. So here's what it had to be. So here we go. Here we go. Here's a straight line, and it's 3,900 yards. So obviously it's not 4,500 yards.
Yards or feet?
What?
Yards?
Or feet, I'm sorry. So, but Hoyt Peak, the trail goes like this. And it goes in like that. They had to do this because they weren't going to go scuba diving through Maxwell Lake. So, and it says measured. So then the Spanish people, the miners that came back to mine, would know to find the mine, they'd have to follow the natural trail that would have been measured by Garcia's people. They had to do the same thing. That's just one of the things they know after 10,000 years of mining gold as Iberians in the Iberian Peninsula in Spain. So they all knew how that was their language. So that is exactly 4,500 feet.
Huh.
So that's right. And then it says, and it says, well, let's read it. Are you getting the picture?
Yeah.
Okay. So that was the first mistake the people that read this. That's the first mistake they made, was they thought they had to go exactly northeast. And there's people that were living up there that had gone out and done a grid in an area over in here where they thought it had to be, and actually did a grid, and it was off of a cliff face. There was no way it could be a mine. But so that stymied everyone for 76 years. Just that one little word,
Wow.
the way it was interpreted. And if it hadn't been that there was a Spanish version and the English version, I wouldn't have picked it up. So now we know that's right to the Josephine. Okay, so here's the Josephine. So I like about 4 independent factual verifications about anything, not just 3 like the media like. Because that's important if you're going to go up there and dig, to know that you know where in the hell you're going to dig and why, and the reasons behind it. So that's one reason to believe it, okay? Any questions about that?
I've been so close and never even knew it.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so we know this is there, and it's ancient, We don't know whether they did it or not, but it points exactly to Josephine. So now we're going to keep reading here. I knew I should have brought my glasses down here. Okay. The mouth of the mine, there are some small bushes and timber coverage at the base of the small dark ledge. Okay? Okay, so I found a small dark ledge, timber, bushes, and everything right exactly where it should be, right there on Google Earth. So that's the second verification, all right? Okay, so let's keep going here. So we've got that, it's there too. This is right, and the ledge is right, all right? It's on one of my claims, by the way, which I was lucky.
Nice.
Okay. To the mouth of the mine, there are some small bushes and timber coverage at the base of the small dark ledge. The mine of the Josephine de Martinique has 3 tunnels. Now, Hoyt Canyon Fault, the Hoyt Canyon Fault, goes like this. It goes like this, and then it goes out here a little bit, and then it splits right here, and it goes west. And then it goes, so then there's a canyon that goes this way, southeast. And so here was the next problem, is it talks about it being, it says 2 tunnels of 400 varas run to the west. So they would follow the fault that splits here, because the best place to mine a fault is right along the edges. That's where the most mineralization is.
Yeah,
okay?
underneath.
So they'd have a tunnel here, they'd have a tunnel here. That's 2 tunnels. This one was their juncture point, so, and it's going southeast. This is west. This is, of course, east. This is south, and this is north. Okay?
Where's the glory hole?
It's right over here. It's about right here. Oh, yeah, it's about right there.
Okay.
Well, no, wait, no, it'll be on this, it'll be on, yeah, it'll be right, let's see, no, it'll be right here, because it's on the western edge of the fault. And so you can get down 54 feet and get off of the limestone part and get into the actual fractured area. Right.
Oh my
And
goodness.
so once you get down to that, and on the website you'll see we're at the bottom, or we're out of the limestone and into the fractured area. That's what you see on the
So,
website.
and you've identified the adits? You found them?
What?
The adits? Have we found them up there yet? The that one was.
It's not an adit.
It's just a
Natural
it's
opening.
a natural opening. Nice.
It had nothing to do with that. They didn't have to dig a bit. All they had to do was get down through that limestone,
Yeah.
and they were in a huge field
There's a few of those.
of
There's
fractured rock and fractures and all kinds of stuff where they actually walk around, just like I can down in the
Yeah, I've
Glory
seen
hole.
huge caverns before. I mean, just enormous caverns in the UN. It's just a
Yeah, we'll get into the geology of that in a minute. But so let's find the Josephine. Okay. So, and one of 350 bars. Okay. This is the one that's 350 bars that goes to the southeast. This is a donut here, so there's only about that much of that that's available. The other sunk into the donut, which is Maxwell Lake, which is right here. So here's Maxwell Lake right there. Okay. So, the big problem with all of it was that from here to here, it's only 600 feet. And it's supposed to be 969 based on this map, this verbal map. It says right here, 350 bars is 969 feet, basically. And so, and it runs to the southeast, but not, again, remember, it runs means something more than measured. And the first part says you measure. So a measurement is the surface, but runs is the length of the mine. There's a difference. And so if you've got a fault that goes down at least 600 to 800 feet, and you've got a measurement that's going 600 feet, then if you're going to measure that mine, you've got to measure where it starts and where it ends, which is down here, right? Okay, that happens to be, this happens to be 600 feet, and you know, so many, whatever. This is 969 feet, which is exactly what the waybill said it should be. And it says runs. You have to measure it from here to here. And so this has to be exactly where this has to be to make this work here. Does that make sense?
Do you know the depth of that last leg?
Depth of what?
The last leg?
This last leg here?
Yep.
Well, the waybill also says that they encountered the yellow metal at actually the bars, but it's 450 feet. And an epithermal vent, when the asteroidal water hit that caldera and it went off, it's like 5,000 H-bombs going off at the same time. It's called a catastrophic event. So it just sprayed hot, boiling, gold and silver rich from it all the way through that whole area, just permeated it and boiled, a boiling zone for 1 million years. That's what a low sulfidation epithermal vent is. Yeah. And you can go online and Google and type that in and it'll tell you exactly that's what happened.
Yeah, all the gold is underneath where they were.
Yeah, so it's a gold field that's created. It's just like a spray of it. And it's boiled, so it's taking all of the gold and silver out of the rock that it brought up, the mantle, and it's redepositing on the host rock, which is quartz or limestone. And so this depth here, if it's here, they got here from 450 feet, they started getting gold and silver, or high grade. I don't know whether they went down to the 800-foot level, which would be down here someplace, but this is where the silver starts to form. And then the gold will form on it because it's heavier.
A little further down.
So as you get deeper, it gets more gold, less silver. So I doubt that they've even gotten down to that. They probably came up, the amount of gold that was in here would probably be in the neighborhood, if at today's price, about $140 trillion. Oh
yeah.
That would be down in this area. That's the total wealth. The total wealth of the United States is only 130. Everything, if you put a dollar price on it, it's only $130 trillion.
Yeah, I can
and it would match all of the gold that's ever been discovered that you've got possession of. It would match what's been mined and kept for the entire history of gold mining.
Yeah, so
Ought to be down in here. Then, what I did, I thought, okay, so we've got the numbers right, and it's exactly what this says after it's been reinterpreted correctly by going the other mile to look at alternatives as to what would happen. And of course, the fact that it's on my claim and I've traipsed it 1 million times and I know exactly where all of it is, I knew that all of the things it was talking about was my backyard. And so I was familiar with what he was saying because I was there. And so that was a real adventure for me, as you can imagine.
Oh yeah.
Any questions?
Is there, so when can we get up there? It's not till, when's the
As soon
first?
as Mother Nature
yeah,
finds the
snow,
road out.
right. Is there gates?
And I can't answer that
Yeah.
question,
He's
but
got
I
a
can
key.
give you a hint.
He's got his
Is-
own key, so-
But yeah,
How
so-
far- Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna,
No, go ahead. He's good, go ahead.
How far away are you from where Schaefer is?
Schaefer's not up there, he lost it.
Oh, so this is the same property that Schaefer had?
No, he had a whole bunch of claims, because he didn't know where the hell the Josephine was, so he just claimed the whole hillside when he didn't have to pay a maintenance fee back in the 80s.
Okay.
Why not? You know?
Yeah.
Then when they started adding a maintenance fee, then he had limited funds, of course, so he had to give it up, but he didn't give it up. Gail Rhodes died up there. And so when he died, he left a whole bunch of quitclaim deeds that he'd sold, telling everybody that the Josephine was what we call the bear hole. And so here's,
can I add a little, so, for my research, one of the roads, it wasn't him, one of the people he told, I guess he was like a dentist or something, he went to Congress, and they tried, he said that they were gonna use the gold to save this country back then.
no, that's the wrong roads.
Yeah,
That
what
was
was
Caleb
that?
Roads back in
Yeah,
1852.
Yeah, 52,
Or
yeah.
somewhere
And
within that time.
Com-
That was Tom Rhodes. That's a whole different story. That's another session we're gonna have.
Nice.
That's Tom Rhodes, who
Yeah.
was commissioned by Brigham Young in 1852 to follow Chief Wakara's representative up there to get 60 pounds of gold out every time he went up,
Those are
and
different
take it to the
mines.
Farmington Mint, where they minted it, and then they used part of it to cover the Angel Moroni.
Yeah,
And one of my relatives is the one that has to go up once in a while and
nice.
fill in all the bullet holes that are in it.
Oh
There's
my
actually
gosh,
bullet
are you
holes they had to
serious?
fill in the Angel
People shoot
Moroni.
at that? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Whoa,
Anyway, here's Rhodes's
it's crazy.
diagram of the Josephine mine. Okay? And it shows the bear hole and the other mine. The mine actually that was the mine in Utah. Because this was a smelter. That's where they got chiseled in beds and all that stuff. That was the smelter. This goes up to the glory hole. It's a direct passage where there's ventilation. So they could actually, in their 4 rooms here someplace, transfer the ore to gold and silver, which is part of what it says in here. So that tied in too, because there's a trail leading from here, this right here, there's a trail that leads right, this is where this is, right here. From here, right to there, exactly, you can see it, goes right to there, and it comes right over here, and it stops right there. And there's a Spanish cross of rocks right there. That's the King's Mine. This is the Josephine, which also had an rust on it. So they take the ore from here, they bring it over here, they crush it, then they bring it over here and fire it so they could get the gold and silver out of it. And so there's another verification. When you got a trail, it's easy to find. And it's going from a mine here to a mine here to an Arusta here. You've got a mining operation that has been, that you can see that existed for 500 years and it's still there. I won't tell you how, but it's there. It's absolute positive.
Nice.
So we've got this, we've got this, we've got that, we've got this, and we've got that. How many things do you need? And we found silver, little balls of silver with, you can see the fired part down here, right above here, where you can see that they did their ancient capillation process. Okay, any questions?
You said at one point here you found a smelter?
What?
Where's the smelter that you found?
It's right here.
Okay.
It's right here. This is the smelter. This was a mine of the Utah. This was probably an Aztec mine. that's the picture that remember the picture that I showed you? I think I've got, here it is, right here. This right here, this is what stymied me, because I thought, okay, so I've got all that stuff, but I don't have an actual, I know this is an ancient mine. This is right here.
Oh,
But I hadn't connected this to this until I got this from the Forest Service as part of my appeal process. And this is just before they buried it with a cat. They took a cat up here and covered this all
oh
over.
my gosh.
So all you see now is it's just just like that.
Yeah.
So I looked over here and I could see this. So I got that connection. I knew that was there. And there's pictures here about what it looked like before they did that.
I'm sorry, I
See
had to
the
go in
trees
there.
right there?
Here's what it looks like now.
Oh my gosh.
Okay? This is what it looks
Yeah,
like.
yeah,
So,
they took out that
This
one.
right
He's
here
got
is
down
this
already
right
about
now.
4 or 5
Except we
feet,
dug
so
part of this
we're
out
right.
down to about 4 feet.
We're right there.
Nice.
So I thought, well, okay, so
Oh,
how am I gonna
actually,
put this
all
mine,
right, well,
how am I
you guys
gonna
are
put
good.
this mine in here? Because this is proof positive there was an ancient mine up there.
Yeah.
So if I can put this here, then that's all I need. you
Yeah,
know.
no, that's plenty.
That's close enough for government work.
Oh yeah, no, that's what,
You can't get any better than that, you know.
no.
And I wasn't gonna bother anybody or waste anybody's time until I was so sure that when they go up there, they're gonna find things and be able to have their time used in good stead.
Yeah.
And so this was the last thing. Well, this trail was important. I found that last winter system. And there's all kinds of trails all over. Once you know how to look, you can find them all over, going to all kinds of mines. So at the end of each one of those trails is a mine.
Oh yeah, because that fissure, yeah, they'd have been all over, and they would have had they would
Yeah.
have been able to find. They
Yeah,
just
so-
couldn't have gone very deep.
So if you've got all of these points on one, you've got it, all the others are the same thing. So you've got a road map up there. When we go up there, I have a road map to find all those places. And along these trails will be all kinds of high-end gold ore, because the main ore that was up there was in white quartz, it's wire gold. So a metal detector will pick it right up.
Nice.
So when you've got wagons or donkeys going on here 500 for 250 years, there's going to be a lot of stuff that's filled,
Oh,
got
yeah.
spilled. Either the Indians killed them and they throwed it off or whatever.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff you're going to find that has nothing to do with having to crawl down a mine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, and finding.
So anyway, this little corner right here was the closing cinch, so to speak. Because when I put a little magnifying glass on this place right here, it's exactly the same corner. So this is right there. This right here is the smelter. This is the what they call the not the glory hole, the bear hole. So that's my claim that I stand by. Okay.
Nice.
Tell me where I'm wrong.
Oh, I think that.
So we're talking now $1 billion worth of gold here. We're talking maybe trillions down here, and probably billions or trillions on all of these different things. And there's at least 40 mines, just like the Josephine up there, that were mined, that I located because of these trails and the way the trees fell. Because the trees up there, the beetles killed them about 10 years ago. So they're starting to fall. So you couldn't find an excavation when they were going up with Google. So, but now they're an open area, they all fall in the same way. So you've got trees up here, they're all going in like this in a different place, and they're all the same kind of pit as the Josephine would be. And I've located through GPS at least 40 of those mines, and there's probably many more than that. So that you can go up there, we can go up there and dig out those. I already dug out one, and it was a pit. This was years ago, and at the middle of it was a metal or a steel chiseled out rock that was round. It was a seal, and the Spanish called it, when they covered it, they actually it was a round opening like this. That's why he called it a portal. And so the reason they did that was the slaves that they had, they lived in that mine their whole life. And so they lived there, they had children there, everything, because the Spanish knew that if they ever got out of there, there'd be a revolt they couldn't handle. They only had 40 miners, and you got 500 slaves. You know, what are you going to do? Well, you keep them in there all the time until they die. And then you don't bury them, you throw them down to one of the pits or the shafts or whatever that's in the huge morass in there. That's what they did for 100 years with this mercenary group.
So did the natives know metallurgy, or why were they so good at, or why were they just...
They weren't natives, they were Aztecs.
Oh, they were
The language,
from Montezuma?
the Ute language is Aztec language.
Oh my
The
gosh.
Aztecs knew a lot about gold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Spanish were pretty much, they were kind of following them up there.
Hmm?
So the story is yeah, Montezuma left sent his buddies.
Well, I don't know if Montezuma did or not. All I know is that this mine has been explored by people that were part of the Schaefer and Weiss group. And they told me that there's all kinds of tunnels in there, or not tunnels, but fissures that you can see where they chipped out the white quartz. So I know this is there, and that I own, and the Josephine claim with all the minerals. And so I know I don't want to promise something I can't give that I don't own, and I'm pretty sure that what I'm going to be able to promise, I'm going to be able to give.
Nice. Well, I'm down to go out there and try.
Here's what it looked like before they did this.
Oh my
And-
gosh. Let me see. Pass this down.
Oh, you've got the other picture right here? No, I don't think it's there. Well, anyway, it's here. Here. Okay, so we've got 3 stages. This is the beginning stage. Here's that particular cave, except when Schaefer and Rhodes went out, they excavated this out. So this is what it looked like. John Young was part of this. And so then, of course, this happened because he destroyed it, which you can see here, because he drilled up here and he drilled down and he put a camera down there and you can see some man-made bricks stacked along a wall, which were probably Dory Vargo. It's probably part of the remaining part of their smelter process. They probably didn't take it all over the Josephine. They had to leave some there, and so he thought it was the Josephine too. And so he tried to get a permit from the Forest Service, a plan of operation approved, not a permit, to drill it without telling him what it was. And they said, no, you got to prove, under the Prudent Man Test, which is part of the amendment to the 1872 Act, Mining Act. He had to prove that he would be just destroying the service. They had the right because there was an economical mineral there, and he couldn't prove it. So he decided to do it anyway. And this is part of his tunneling system that he was doing to get over to where they saw the things when they drilled down in the back of it.
Gary, where is that on the diagram you drew up on the board there?
Where's this?
Yeah, where is that hole at on there?
Well, this whole, this is the cave.
Right.
The cave's right here.
I mean on your 39, 40, 45 up there.
Or it had nothing to do with the Josephine.
Okay,
except the fact that it was where they went to.
It's clear over on the end.
This right here is this right here. Here's White Peak. It's almost a western
Right.
thing. That's where that.
Way off the Josephine.
Yeah.